What's going on, guys? It's Tony with Urban Girl Scout Media, living the dream as always, doing Season 2, Episode 3 of the podcast series here. So for this episode, I want to talk about my Chicago Bulls. If you have not followed the channel and you don't realize it, I love me the Bulls. I grew up in Chicago. Didn't leave Chicago until after 2000. I went to games when the Bulls were the Bulls. I met a lot of those players. I have autographs. I have memories as a kid sitting home watching those games. I like all those things that you could afford to say, I can say here. I saw the Jordan Pippen era, both part 1 and part 2. I saw the Tim Floyd era. We dealt with the Vinny Del Negro. We loved the Baby Bulls. We were heartbroken over Derrick Rose. And we were inspired by Tom Thibodeau. But what I gotta say right now is what the hell has happened to this team? Like, this team has gone from steady rebuild. You know, we had to make a tough move with Jimmy because of personality and things like that. All of a sudden, this team is almost unwatchable. Fred Hoiberg, wrongly fired. I don't care what anyone says. Absolutely wrongly fired. Injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. And I know that's a little extreme. It's just basketball coaching, but he was never set up to succeed. Just look at who he had. This was the first year. And I'm sorry, but any person that wants to say, well, they started the season with like 4 or 5 wins of their first 20. I'm sorry, was Bobby Portis, Markkanen, and Dunn playing all those games? Okay. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything there. So, that's the first thing. Not a huge fan of Jim Boylan starting out. He's a little abrasive compared to what these kids might be used to. Excuse me. But, you know, we'll see what happens. We'll give them a shot because maybe it's what they need. So, we'll give them a shot. I'm just concerned because look at some of the things that have happened this year. Last year, the year before, you know, trading Nico, trading Jimmy, signing Jabari. I like Zach LaVine, but I think that right now the focus has to be for him to become a two-way player, not just an offensive explosion. That's just my opinion on it, though. Archie Diacono, I like the effort. Markkanen's looking good. Wendell Carter, I'm really excited about this kid. I really am. And there's a few other pieces like Holiday, Dunn, Portis, all these boys that, you know, it feels like we have something to root for in a few years. But the problem is, and this is where I get frustrated, what's the end game? So they're going to be a bad team this year. Maybe they win some surprising games in the second half of the season and make a big upswing and, you know, they have some momentum. Maybe they just completely collapse into themselves. Maybe they shock us all, get it together, and make the playoffs as a 7 or 8 seed. You know, any of those are realistic at this point because there's still a lot of basketball to be played. Percentages are different between, you know, the few. But I mean, I got to be honest here. Like, your best play at this point is to be a bad team, ship some of these long-term pieces that you're not going to be keeping, get a good draft pick. Like, that's probably your safest bet. And then try and attract a free agent or two. But you can't pay Jabari Parkers of the world, what was it, like $40 million to come and play? Dude isn't even playing right now. Like, that's terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Which brings me to kind of my final thought here on this. It's time for Garpax to be Gargone. Yeah. That was kind of corny, but I felt good about it. Think about all the coaches that they have gone through. Think about the reputation they have both from the fan base and around the NBA, it's not a secret that they're not a trusted or very much appreciated leadership group. They don't set their coaches up to succeed. Think about all the crap with Tom Thibodeau. You're telling me a coach that could grind on his players that hard and get them that far, they couldn't figure out a way to make it work with him? Absolutely not. I did not like it at all. I thought Fred Hoiberg got set up. I don't like their style. I don't understand why we can't move on past them. Is it because the owner of the Bulls, is it still Jerry Reinsdorf, or whatever the fuck his name is? Because he likes making money and he doesn't have to focus on them because he's got other interests in Chicago? Or is it truly that we just don't know how great they are and they're just thinking so many steps ahead of us and maybe their plans haven't worked out? That's always a possibility. Like, I'm trying to find both ends of the spectrum here, and maybe we can find a happy middle ground. Fact of the matter is, this GM, I can't believe I'm about to say this, Paxson just has to go, man. Like, he had his time in Chicago. Dude needs to go. Gar Forman is not a respected individual in the NBA circles. He's not a highly respected individual. Like, he's just a guy who's in charge. Go watch some video. Find the proof. He's not someone that players truly aspire to play for. Same with Jim Paxson. They don't have this great reputation. It is more around the coaching circle than the player circle, but those players who are connected to the coaches, they could tell you the same thing. There's video out there. There's tweets out there. Watch when Fred Hoiberg got fired. There was a few people that had some surprising reactions because of how they consistently set up their coaches. So, I think it's time to make a move on from them. And I don't think you could do much worse than them. How many chances do they get? Because it's very unrealistic that they're still here. But that's just my take on it. So that's going to do it for this episode. Season 2, Episode 3, talked about the Bulls, a couple of the big issues with the team. I appreciate you guys listening. If you do enjoy what you're hearing, just give us a like or, a share, something. Just one of those things that we can get some tracking points from the YouTubes and Facebooks from. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.